Damien St John. This is Sam FM Breakfast.
Sorry about that.
It's The Rock. We're huge fans.
Thank you so much.
What advice would you give us if we want to be the next you?
What are your names again?
My name.
It doesn't matter what your names are. You walk around here interrupting the Rock you like you haven't seen the sun in 20 years. You like you just stepped out of Oliver Twist. Please, sir, may I have some more advice, sir? You want some advice? Here's the Rock's advice. Shut your mouth.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Got it.
How did the movie come about?
So, DJ, I like to call him DJ now because that's how he texts me, but I was at WrestleMania and 2014 and he texts me on my phone and it was like, hey, it's DJ. At some point today, I'd love to speak to you about something really important, but just whenever you're ready. And I was confused to who DJ was because, you know, I didn't know he had a nickname. I wasn't that close with him. So I had to ask someone, like, who the hell's DJ? And like, hey, why is this person texting my phone? And they're like, that's Dwayne Johnson. And I'm like, oh my God, what? I was like, oh my God, Dwayne Johnson is texting my phone. This is bizarre. And so I go to his office and he just said that he watched the documentary which Max Fisher created in 2012. And it was called Fighting With My Family Too. And he fell in love with the story. He fell in love with the family. He just fell in love with us, and he just related to it so much because he has a wrestling family too, and he knows how bizarre we are, but he knows how much passion and heart that my family have too, and how we are all been underdogs, you know, and we're just constantly fighting this uphill struggle to succeed in what we do. And he just fell in love with it. And he was like, okay, we're going to make a movie on it. And I'm like, what? Start crying my eyes out. And he's like, oh, and tomorrow you're going to be debuting and winning the Divas Championship. And obviously I started aggressively crying my eyes out again. Snot bubbles everywhere, eyelashes on my forehead. Like I was crying aggressively to the point where he's just handing me off tissues like constantly. He's like, are you good? And I'm like, I don't think so. So yeah, he changed my life completely. And then I called my brother Zak and my family and told him. And they were very excited.
Yeah. So, and Zak, how are you feeling? Because you both went for the WWE tryouts, and the emotional pivot in the movie is that Paige goes one way and a different path to success for yourself. How are you feeling at the time when this was all unfolding?
It was really hard. Growing up, me and my sister were so close. There's only 14 months between us. We were like twins. And we always said to each other, you know, everything we do, we're going to do it together. We're going to get to WWE together. We're going to get a big house together. She's, you know, at the time my wife was pregnant and she was like, I'll help. I'll babysit while you're on the road. And, you know, when you're not on the road, I can then go. And, you know, it was hard to take when they only called out her name in the tryout. You know, it was a bitter pill to swallow. But you know, there was nothing against my sister. It was all in my mind, my head. I was wondering why I wasn't good enough, why I'm worthy of that chance. So you know, it was all in my mind, and it was fighting against my demons. You know, but I was very proud of my sister, and I've shared her success. And, you know, for all this media, she keeps reminding people, look, you know, this is my brother. This is half his story. This is this is that. And, you know, I just, like I said, I'm so proud and I love her to bits.
Yeah.
It's because he's sitting opposite me.
Yeah.
If I be
and
talking
plus
mad crap.
I may be 6'3", but she'll still beat me up. So I've got to put her over.
I punched him for standing on a spider when we were really young, so...
Fantastic. How difficult was it to keep your WWE trials a secret? Because you were sort of still wrestling in the UK and popping backwards and forwards. Is that true?
Well, yeah. No, well, so we could tell people that we had the tryout. And we could tell people that we got, like, well, I got signed, but they give us a period of time, obviously, because I had to get my visa in the process. So it took like 8 months for me to get a visa before I could move over to America. But I could fulfill the rest of my my wrestling dates on the independents that you know that I had left. They gave us the opportunity to do that. But yeah, like we didn't have to keep anything a secret. It was they were very open about it.
And for both of you, going from the UK, is it Norwich? Is that where you guys are from?
Sure is.
Yeah.
Going from Norwich,
Mustard capital, my friend.
going from Norwich to life in America. How much of a transition was that? What sort of learning curve?
Oh
Was
my gosh. Well, there's not a lot of mustard. No, I'm just kidding. Like I'm not a big fan of mustard, so it's okay. It's just the culture shock. Obviously, you go from like a small town in Norwich where you're kind of like you're like this big fish in a small pond kind of thing, and then you go over to America and it's just this massive country and no one gives a crap about who you are because they don't know who you are, and it's just very intimidating, especially for an 18-year-old, you know. And so, but I loved it. I did fall in love with it. I got very homesick, obviously, because, you know, I'm very close with my family. And so the first couple of months I was a very sad girl, but my dad was like, "You better not call me if you're crying anymore. I'm not having it. I'm sick of you crying." I'm like, "All right, Dad, got it. Got it. I'll stop crying. I'll stop calling you. Got it." But it was wonderful, and it's been over 7 years now. So
yeah, and the movie is a comedy. Stephen Merchant has written it. He got involved via Dwayne Johnson. They worked together on a movie years ago.
Tooth Fairy, yeah.
Yeah. But although the movie is a comedy, wrestling is still quite a brutal business, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Well, you know firsthand, don't you?
Yeah, so it's definitely a struggle when it comes to, I mean, it's not easy. It's definitely tiring on your body, and just you have to give up so much to chase this dream too, along with any other job really. But especially in the WWE, if you're not from the same country, you kind of have to like leave all your family behind. And the irony of the movie is that I'm doing it all for my family, but in the process I have to leave them, and it's just that there's a lot of stuff that you have to give up in to chase your dreams.
And just quickly, spoke to Wade Barrett a year or 2 years ago.
I'm afraid I got some bad news.
Yeah, I got bad news for you. Is it true you can spend like 200-300 days on the road in your car traveling?
Oh, more than that. Yeah, like you don't have any off days. Like we even worked on Christmas Day last year. It was just we there's no off season for us, and but I mean we love it. I mean obviously you wouldn't be doing it for so long if you didn't love it. So, yeah, there's no off days for us.
Right. Fighting with My Family, the heartwarming comedy based on the incredible true story of WWE superstar Paige. You've got Nick Frost, Lena Headey off Game of Thrones, Vince Vaughn, Florence Pugh, who plays Paige, Jack Loudon, who plays Zach. It's a big movie with an even bigger heart. Go and see it. It's in cinemas from Wednesday. Paige and Zach, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Have a great day. See ya.
Have a good one.
Bye.
See you later.
Paige, I myself have come from a wrestling family too. I know exactly what it means to you. But don't worry about being the next me. Be the first you.
What?
It's Dwayne Johnson. How are you?
Prove it.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Yeah, and I'm Vin Diesel, mate.
I'm sorry.